So when I've done these sorts of clinic sessions in the past, I've used the same format. I've just put in different people's questions, and then what I've tried to do based on the presentation I've been doing recently during the pandemic, I've then put together answers to the different questions, because the sorts of questions that come up tend to be quite similar. So before we start, if it's okay, I'll just give you a little bit of background about myself, Daniela and Mohammed. Thank you very much for coming. Obviously, we are recording the session as well. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to use the recording, if we're going to like cut it up into different sections, but we're going to be together now for about an hour and 20 minutes or so. So my background is, well, actually, I came to CoTESOL back in 2014, a matter of weeks after my now 6-year-old was born. So that was amazing. Okay. As I was saying, my background is I was a languages teacher for 13 years. I taught French at secondary school level for 3 years, and then 10 years at middle school level, 9 to 13-year-olds. And I've been involved in English as a second language for many years as well. I worked with a company called Pilgrims in the UK for many years on their young learners courses from the mid-90s to the early 2000s. I've also spoken at the IATEFL conference as well many times. And back in 2014, when I came to CoTESOL, that was as a result of an invitation from the Young Learners Special Interest Group at IATEFL. So that's why I'm here. And that's why I met Michael back in 2014. And we've been Facebook friends and Twitter friends ever since. And that's why this session is happening. So we'll see how we go. Feel free to write any questions in the chat. And my Twitter handle is there on the screen. I'm at Joe Dale. I recently surpassed 31,000 followers, which is a little bit crazy. But there we are. So if you have any questions, if you're on Twitter and you want to tweet, then feel free to ask me any questions at all. Hopefully, if we carry on doing this, we'll get more people coming along. But actually, to have a small group means that you can ask me lots of difficult questions, and I will try my best to answer them all. Since the start of the pandemic, I've been doing many sessions with schools and organizations and conferences from around the world. As you can hear from my accent, I'm based in the UK. I live on the Isle of Wight, which is south of Southampton, which is where the Titanic left finally all those years ago. And I've lived here for 20 years. And normally I would travel around the world being an independent languages consultant, but of course I have to do everything via webinar right now. My email address is joedale@talk21.com as well. And I hope that you find the session useful. So the first thing we're going to do is have a look at this slide. As you can see, the point of this webinar is to give you the opportunity to ask questions around remote or hybrid teaching to do with technology. I suppose I'm a bit of a guru. I spend a lot of time researching different techniques, different tools, different apps, always focusing on the pedagogy and how it can be used to enhance language learning in particular, although I can do cross-curricular training. But obviously today we're focusing on the language learning part of the use of technology. So if I go to the first question, this is the first question that we had, which is, as you can see, what free programs do you recommend for recording a lecture? I usually record my screen as well as my voice and sometimes include my video. Could you shortly demonstrate the usage? What are ways to improve the sound quality during the recording? So this is a great question. And lots of people have been recording their screen as a way of creating resources for their students. I'm not sure if it's the same where you are, but certainly in the UK, there are lots of schools, secondary schools, which do not allow live lessons, so synchronous lessons, because of safeguarding reasons. They're concerned that if the students can see each other's houses, or if they can see inside the teacher's house and what have you, then this can cause a problem over student or teacher privacy, which is why some people have researched the best way of recording your screen. Now, there are different ways in which you can record a short screencast using a variety of different tools. But if you want to record for more than, say, 10 minutes, then the number of choices is more limited. So what I thought I would do was put together this next slide for you to give you an idea around screencasting. So I would say that out of the tools which allow you to record short videos around 5 minutes or so are there's Loom and there's Screencastify and Screencast-O-Matic. So those, excuse me, those three tools in the free versions allow you to record up to 5 minutes. So not a whole lecture, but there are options to record a whole lecture as well if you wanted to. But if you just want to create short screencasts, then Loom, Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic are really helpful and useful. And I can demonstrate how those work in a second. There's a new one called Screenity, which is on the screen, as you can see, which is unlimited. You can record as many minutes as you want to. With Screenity, it would just be the size of your hard disk that would dictate the length of your recording. So that's really good news. And the record to slides option is another Chrome extension, which is not so much recording the screen, but allows you to give video feedback straight over the top of a Google Slides presentation. So if the students have done a Google Slides presentation for you, it's a really nice way of being able to record a video thumbnail that appears on the screen, which allows you to give feedback. Now, on the right-hand side, there, bottom right, I've also mentioned Zoom. So Zoom, along with Microsoft Teams and Google Meet, also allow you to record your screen. But with Zoom, it's completely free to use. If you're recording on your own, in other words, if you create a Zoom session as we're in right now, and you go in on your own and you share your screen, you can record for as long as you want to. You also have the iPad plugin as well, which means that you can then share your iPad screen and record that. If you wanted to do some sort of screencast involving your iPad screen, that would be very straightforward. But Zoom is unlimited. Now, you've also got Google Meet. With Google Meet, if you want to record your screen or you want to record full stop, then that's part of the enterprise version of Google Meet. You need to have a enterprise Google account, as well as there's also the educational account as well. Or there's different types of account, but you can't record unless you have one of these paid for accounts. So that's why I didn't mention Google Meet on the screen. Likewise, Microsoft Teams, you can record your screen as well, but then you need to have an Office 365 subscription, which your university might have, but it's not something that you can just access for free, whereas Zoom does let you do that. Yes. Now I've got some slides around security concerns, which I can come out of my presentation and show you in a second. In fact, I will, while I'm talking, I will quickly find the slides for that. Just so you've got everything there. So just give me a second while I'm doing that. So if we're looking for free options, I would say if it's a short video of say 5 minutes or so, Loom, Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic are great for that. If you're looking for longer, let's say an hour, then you could use Screenity or you could use Zoom as a free version. I also will talk about security with Zoom, Teams, and Google Meet. And just give me a second while I'm doing that. So let me just bring this up now. And I will be able to pop it straight into my presentation. So those are the best options, I think. With Loom, you can apply for a pro account as an educator, and that will allow you to have it unlimited, but it takes a few days. It's not something that you can do straight away. You can't just use the pro account straight away. You have to apply for it, show that you're an educator, and then you'll be good to go. So just on that point, I'm just going to copy and paste a couple of slides in here for you around, let me just come out of here quickly, around this very issue. So let me just put this in here. There we are. Oh, 2 seconds. So if I right click there and paste, okay, there we are. And I've done that, and that's fine. Right. So I will come to that in a second. So the idea of the clinic, it's supposed to be a bit messy. It's not supposed to be sort of like a slick presentation per se. Yeah, so that's that so far. And then I can obviously demonstrate different ideas in a second as well. Now on this screen, I'm pinpointing a couple of articles which I think you'll find interesting. So for example, top left, you've got an article which I wrote for the Facebook group Modern Languages Teachers Lounge. And that is, it was a public group, it's now a private group. So to read the article, you would have to join the group. But on that Facebook group for a month back in April last year, and I wrote a number of different articles, one of which was on screencasting and how it could be used in languages in particular. When I go through these different options, and you can access that via the group. On the right-hand side is an article from the TES, and as you can see, it says 4 reasons pre-recorded lessons are your best option. So this goes back to the fact that lots of schools in the UK certainly have not been allowing synchronous lessons, and therefore people have been exploring other options by recording their screen using different Chrome extensions. So that's that issue there. And if I come out of my presentation quickly, I can now give a quick demonstration of how some of these ideas work. So if you wanted, for example, to find Loom, you just go to the Chrome Web Store, like this. Okay. So I would recommend, I mean, there's various ways of doing screencasting. You can, it's inbuilt on the Mac as well. I don't know the keyboard shortcuts to hand, but if you were to do a search of keyboard shortcuts on a Mac and how to record your screen, it would come up. But certainly in the Chrome Web Store, there are a number of options. So if I click on Loom, here it is, as you can see, Loom for Chrome. So I've got these links in the slideshow anyway, but I will just put this in the chat for you. So that's one option. You've also got Screencastify, which I will demonstrate right now. We are Screencastify, there it is. Share that in the chat with you. And then you've also got Screencast-O-Matic. Now with Screencast-O-Matic, there is a Chrome extension, so it does work on Chromebooks, for example. But there's also a downloadable tool which you can download onto Mac and onto PC. But I just add the Chrome extension there as well. I'm not as familiar with Screencast-O-Matic, but a new one on the block that I've mentioned is called Screenity, which is completely unlimited. Here it is. And this is very cool. So I will demonstrate all of these in a second. Okay, so let's start off with Loom. If I go back to my, yeah, sorry, Michael, did you have a question?
I'm just wondering if when you go through these, if I know a question that I get asked that you might know the answer to is, you know, what's the cutoff for getting something for free and paying for it? That's what a lot of people ask me, is like, well, there's a lot of stuff that's free. What's your cutoff for a program where you should pay for it? I mean, to me, I'm lazy. If I find something that's good, I'll sign up for it and give a few dollars to it. But what's your opinion on that? Should we search and search and search to get something that's free? Is it all out there if we dig hard enough, or should we actually, you know, pay people?
Yeah, well, that okay, so that's a big question, but I would say, in my experience, the vast majority of teachers don't want to pay for software. They want to they want everything to be free. And the question, you know, is it free, comes up all the time when I'm demonstrating anything. One thing that I've tried to do always is always show things which are free, because I know that, as I said, most teachers, that's what they want to see. They don't want to have to pay for anything, because of the fact that in many schools around the world, budgets are tight and people are not willing to pay. That said, there are some tools, depending on what you're trying to do, which are definitely worth paying for. So, for example, if we're talking about paid ways of recording our screen, then Camtasia, which I'll just put in the chat, is amazing, but it's not cheap. It's in English pounds, it would be British pounds, it would be about £250, I think. But I have Camtasia, and the reason that I have Camtasia is because I've been using it for many years, and it allows you to do lots of things, not just record your screen, but you can edit what you've recorded. You can, just like a standard movie editing software, you can add captions, you can blur out sections of the screen. So it has features that you wouldn't normally have in a free package. In relation to finding out what's out there, I'm a big fan, as you know, Michael, of Twitter and social media in general, but particularly Twitter. So I think that one silver lining of this whole situation is the way in which some people who have been reluctant to use EdTech in the past, because they've been forced to use EdTech, absolutely, Michael, because people have been forced to use EdTech in emergency remote teaching, it means that they maybe had their awareness raised on what's out there. And if you go onto any sort of Facebook group to do with languages, certainly in my experience, everybody is talking about remote teaching ideas or hybrid teaching ideas. So how do I do this? How do I do that? And what's nice about it is people are, in the main, focusing on the pedagogy. So in other words, I would like to record my screen in order to, for example, demonstrate a grammar process, or how to conjugate a verb, or for digital storytelling, or whatever it might be. So there are lots of free tools out there which are amazing, and it depends on whether in one particular area, whether you're willing to pay for software because of the extra affordances that it gives you. And certainly in the case of Camtasia, I like the way in which I have access to Camtasia. I have paid for it. It's on my computer, and it means that I can blur out things on the screen if I want to do so. For example, in webinars that I'm organized in hosting, if a teacher were to show student names on the screen, then I could then, although it takes me more time to do this, I could then go into the video, the recorded video that we record in Zoom, and I could then blur out the names of those students. Or if I upload the final results to YouTube, and then there's a copyright claim because, let's say, the presentation has been about music, or there's been some sort of copyrighted music there, YouTube will pick it up within seconds, and I will then have to then go back to Camtasia and then mute the audio for that particular section, those sorts of things, and then add like a subtitle on the screen to say why you can't hear the music. So if you're looking at more intricate options rather than just recording your screen, then that's fine. But most teachers, they're happy just to record the screen, not have the edit option, and away you go. So you get what you pay for in lots of ways. But I think also people don't necessarily know what's out there, and that's why having a session like this, having a professional learning network on Twitter and other such places. I know you're a big fan of iMovie, for example, Michael. Absolutely. I'm a fan of iMovie on the iPad. On the PC, I tend to use Camtasia. So yeah, it depends. But if we're just going back to the question, if we're just talking about recording the screen, then I think the options that I've suggested are going to be really, really, really helpful. And yes, of course, you could then do your fine editing on iMovie, or if you wanted a semi-pro outcome, then you could use Final Cut as well. That's the thing about with video, talking about video in general, is there isn't really a one size fits all with video. So if you're on a Mac, certainly iMovie is a really good option. If you're on a PC, iMovie obviously doesn't work on PC, but Windows 10 comes with a basic movie editor, so that's good. If you're on an Android device, then you'll be using something else, and so on and so forth. So the number of universal video editing tools that I'm aware of is very limited. So for example, there's one called WeVideo, which does work in the browser, and it also works as apps as well. But then with the free version, you get a great big watermark saying WeVideo on your final outcome, which obviously a lot of people would be annoyed about, I think. There's also one called Capwing as well, which is an app and a basic video editor. It really just allows you to sort of like top and tail your little clips. You can't do like edits in the middle of a clip, so it's limited in that way. But those two, I would say, are probably some of the best that I found. There's also one called Adobe Rush, but you need to have the Adobe suite, so it's not a free one at all. In fact, I think it's quite expensive. I think it works out about £20 a month or something. It might even be more than that, I'm not sure. So that does work on all devices, but yeah, exactly, where you can ignore the watermark. Exactly, yeah. So whereas compared to say audio, you've got Audacity that works on Windows and on Mac, so that's really nice. Although of course you've got GarageBand, and yeah, so it just makes it easier. Really, it would be lovely if there was one universal free web video editing tool that works on everything, but it just doesn't exist without limitations like watermarks and so on and so forth. Yeah, and WeVideo, there is, with the premium version you get many more features, but with the free version it's quite limited. Okay, so hopefully that's clarified how that would work. If I maybe just demonstrate some of these ideas then. So if I go back to my presentation, which is here, and I wanted, for example, to use Loom, what I would do is I've got it installed here. So it says Loom for Chrome has access to this site. So if I click on Loom right now, it will ask me to turn off my video on Zoom. So I will do that right now. There we are. I've turned off my video. And now, as you can see, it's saying, great, you're now ready to start recording your screen. So I will, so as you can see now, my little thumbnail is bottom left. What's nice about this is I can actually move that around the screen while I'm recording. So some people really like that. I can change the size of my thumbnail to this or even this. That's a bit crazy, that one, but I'll go a bit smaller. And there we are. You can also replace your webcam with just an image if you prefer. With the free version with Loom, you don't get access to the pen tools, so you can't draw on the screen, and you're limited to 5 minutes. So they changed that recently. It used to be that the free version of Loom was unlimited, but now you have to apply for the Pro account on Loom, and that's basically it. So if I click Start Recording, I will just quickly move that out of the way, and I'll move that out of the way as well. Good thing I've got two screens, and let's go for it. Okay. So now you should, I think, be able to see that it says your entire screen application window or Chrome tab. So I'm going to click entire screen like this and click share. There we get a countdown. Okay, so now I'm in my slideshow and I'm talking over the top. I don't have the annotation tools, as I said, so I could be talking over the top and making like a flip video or a narrated slideshow, and I could go back to another slide, go forward to another slide, and so on and so forth. I can also click on the hide option here, where it says so you don't get a little banner appearing at the bottom. And to stop recording, I can X out and I can click back on the Loom icon, which has got a little red flashing dot in it. I click on that, and it now appears like this. So as you can see now, I can click on copy video link, which I've just done. I can press play and we can watch it back. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm in my slideshow and I'm talking over the top. I don't have the annotation tools, as I said, so I could be talking over the top and making like a flip video or a narrated slideshow, and I could go back to another slide, go forward to another slide, and so on and so forth. I can also click on the hide option here, where it says so you don't get a little banner appearing at the bottom. And to stop recording, I can X out and I can click back on the Loom icon, which has got a little red flashing dot. And there we are. Okay, now you can see top right, it says copy video link, which is what I've just done, which means I can now easily paste that link into the chat, and then you can then all have a look at that. So for example, another way of using this, you can also see it says trim video and what have you. If I click on trim video, start, yeah, can you see here? I think some people find this a bit fiddly, but it means you can get rid of the beginning and the end of the video, that sort of thing. But to be honest with you, I would just record it as it is. I wouldn't bother with the editing unless you make a massive mistake. I think the children would be fine about, or the students would be fine about the fact that you've made your recording. If there's a little bit of gap at the beginning, it doesn't really matter. So Michael's asking, what's the best screencasting video for classes? I mean, for students in class doing collaboration work. Okay, that's a great question. I would say that for use in class, I would recommend Flipgrid. If I just quickly show you Flipgrid, right? So with Flipgrid, what you can do is you can record your screen. Let me just show you quickly. So this is a really nice way of doing this. If I just quickly launch this now, and I can make a dummy group for you. So if I click on create a group here, yeah, it's amazing, Michael. I could do, I've, in the past, in lots of other webinars, I've done like a 45-minute session on Flipgrid, but I won't do that now, but I'll just give you a quick flavor of how the screen casting bit works. So let's call it code TESOL. Here, you can make up your own code. So we'll put code TESOL again. Interesting, it says it's not available. So I'll put code TESOL clinic, which will be available. That's perfect. Down here, I can add in my own image and all the rest of it. I'll just leave it like that, and I'll click create group. So there was an issue saying the group, please find an address any fields highlighted. Okay, so what have I forgotten? Here we are. Right. So okay. Interesting. They've changed the interface slightly. So this is incredibly important when you're setting up your Flipgrid group. So a group is like a class, and then a topic, which we're going to create in a second. A topic is like a lesson. So you can make unlimited groups, and you can make unlimited lessons or unlimited topics. So in a standard situation, in a school situation or university situation, I would recommend making all your groups private. For that, you either need people's email addresses, or you can set up usernames, and there are instructions on how to do this here on the link. For today, I'm just going to click on public because it makes it easy, and that will now work when I click create group. Okay, there we are. Now you can see that you've got inbuilt integration with Google Classroom and with Microsoft Teams, as well as other platforms, other ways of sharing the links. So I'm now going to just close that. So I've made my group, and this is my topic here, which has been made automatically. And as you can see there, it says, hello, I am. So I can rename that if I wanted to. I can do lots of different things. But what I'm going to show you quickly here is if I click on actions and I click edit topic, I can then, as you can see, I can change that there. In fact, let me just do that. I'll just call it code TESOL screen recording like that. Okay. And I can then get rid of all of this as well. Oh, let's go back. I can get rid of all of this as well. Okay, so an example description. Okay, so this is where you put in your description for the lesson. You can add in a hyperlink, which is really useful. So in the case of screencasting, you might, for example, put a link to a website you want the students to go to, whereby they record the screen and then give a voiceover. You've got topic moderation, which is really useful. With that turned on, it means that only the teacher gets to see any videos that the student makes. With that turned off, it means that anybody within that topic will be able to see the videos, but it's still private, even if it's a public group. But of course, in an education environment, I would suggest that all your groups are private. Under recording time, It can be as short as 15 seconds or as long as 10 minutes, like that. With the commenting, you can either have video comments, text comments, none or both. You can, what else should I refer to here? That's all fine. You can also set up your own feedback and your own rubrics as well. So I'm just going to click update topic, and I'm going to click here. This is the teacher recording a response. So just to give you an idea of how this would work, if I click this right now, and let's hit record. So, okay, so this is Flipgrid. We're demonstrating how to do screen recording. So as the teacher, I could say, okay, students, I would like you to go to Google Earth and to record a screen recording of a little WebQuest tour that you're demonstrating, talking about what you're seeing on the screen. Good luck. So I've just recorded that. I click next. Okay, so this is Flipgrid. We're demonstrating how to do screen recording. Okay, I click next again. As you can see, it displays my name as my first name and the first initial of my surname. I click submit. It then uploads onto the servers, and you can see there it says your video is now visible, whereas when we see the student view, you'll see that that's not the case. Okay, so there we are. That's how that works. Now, I'm now going to show you the student view. And if I click here, it says view as student. Okay. So we'll just go here. And now you can see that it says moderated here, moderated. Okay. Because of the fact I'm now showing the student view. So if I now click here, it will ask me to log in as a student. So I'm going to click remember me and join with Google. Select my Gmail address like this. That will then log me in. Okay, now I'm logged in as a student. Now I could obviously just record my answer, but I wanted to show you something around screencasting. So I'm going to, before I do that, I'm going to go to Google Earth. Obviously, I could be recording anything I wanted on the screen, but I'm going to show you an idea which I've been showing in other presentations around Google Earth. So we'll just wait for Google Earth to come up in a moment. Okay. And then once Google Earth has launched, I will be able to click on the icon on the left-hand side. Let me click on the, first of all, on the globe. There we are. And on the left-hand side, there is a little die icon or dice icon saying I'm feeling lucky, which if I click on that, it will take me literally anywhere in the world. So the idea is I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to click here where it says options. And one of the options is record screen. So going back to your question, Michael, if you wanted to get all the students to do this, that's what you would do. You would just give them the code to get them to sign up to Flipgrid, which is really simple to do. In fact, let me just, if I go back a second, one moment, if I click here, for example, that's the code that the students need. They would either need an email address to log in, the one that you've added as the teacher, or username, the one that you've added as a teacher. But they just need that code, and that's all they have to do. So then once they've got that code, they can just click on the record button, click on options, and they can all record their screen. Now, screen recording is only part of the desktop version at the moment, but they could always use screen recording on a mobile device. So for example, you can use the inbuilt iOS screen recording, or on an Android device, you could use AZ screen recorder, which I'm just putting in the chat for you right now. That's the Android way of recording your screen, but apparently it's coming soon to the Flipgrid app as well. So if I now click record screen, start screen. Yeah, do you want to do your comment now before we get into it?
Oh, I was just going to say to you, Joe, if you don't know, or if Daniela or Mohammed doesn't know, I've used Google Earth in a certain way. I work in rural communities a lot, and when I, the whole very basic English, where is your house? Oh, go straight and turn right at the corner, kind of nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
If you use Google Earth and you actually zoom in on where people live, and you say, okay, where are we? And you hover above the school and you let the person tell people, how to get to their house. I mean, assuming that they all know where everyone lives, like not
Yeah.
in a weird stalkerish kind of way.
Uh-huh.
I've found that Google Earth in that respect, if you're working in rural communities or smaller areas, they really love that. Like it personalizes it in such a way that they're out of the textbook, because you get to throw the textbook in the corner and go, fuck this textbook, it's ridiculous, which
Yeah.
they know already. Sorry, excuse my language. They really like that. And also then you can do random, places around the world. Oh, well, where do you want to go? Where do you want to travel? Oh, I want to travel to London. Okay, here's your hotel.
Yeah.
Boom, it's a real
Yeah.
hotel. Get to Big Ben. Go. Tell your wife how to come find you. If you're working with adults, tell your wife which bar you're in, or whatever like that. But Google Earth, a lot of pedagogical possibilities there. Sorry, I'll stop talking now.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And in fact, what I'm going to demonstrate now is similar to what you just said, but in a more random way. So I'll just demonstrate what I mean. So if I select, I want to select the Chrome tab this time. So just focusing on Google Earth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this over on the left-hand side, my little thumbnail there. Now, what Michael was just saying, I could click on the search option and I could put in a particular place, somewhere in London, for example, and that would be easy. But what I wanted to do now is click here, the I'm feeling lucky option, which is basically a similar idea. It just means randomly we're going to go somewhere. I have no idea where we're going in the earth. Let's see where we go. So I'm going to click I'm feeling lucky right now, and we're going to go to Vancouver in Canada. So we're going to go to Vancouver, and we're just going to wait a moment. So exactly what Michael was just saying here. So as you can see, we're hovering over this particular place, the Museum of Anthropology, and I could be asking the students live in a lesson how what they can see, what they can identify. So, for example, you say, okay, so there's a museum. It's near the side of a river, I think that is. There's also a Department of Anthropology. There are different roads. You could then say how to get from one place to another, and so on and so forth. So that's that idea. But then also you've got the Google Street View option. So if I were to hover over the peg man, bottom right, and I drag the peg man to where the pin is on the screen, what should now happen is we should go into Google Street View, and therefore you've got a lot more detail you can then talk about. So sometimes you're outside a building, and sometimes you're in a building. So as you can see here, we're inside the building. So again, okay, perfect. I could say, what is this? It looks like a huge totem pole, I presume. What's it been made from? What is the wood here? What is this person thinking? What's this person going to do? What has this person done? Why is this person here? And so on and so forth. Look at that. Okay, so you could have a really nice way of getting the students to then talk about what they can see. What's this person thinking, for example? Now, this is the student. I'm logged in as a student now. So obviously the student could be doing a random web quest using their language, talking about what they can see, or something more controlled, whereby they're clicking on the search option and they're putting in a particular place that they're going to. And then what you can do is you can click on the I'm feeling lucky and go somewhere completely different. So now we're going to Taiwan. So, and don't forget, all this is being recorded. So again, we can be going to Taiwan, and we then can be saying, okay, so what can we see? We can see the dragon and tiger pagodas. We can see the pavilions and so on and so forth. And then from there, so again, you could talk about the local area in the target language. And then here, you could then drag again the peg man. And let's see what happens this time. Let's see if I'm going to be inside or outside. Okay, that's great. I'm delighted that it's chiming with what Sophia was saying yesterday. That's brilliant. Okay, so we're outside this time. So again, you can compare what we can see here with what people are used to, or compare different places that we've already been on the web quest. So here you can see, interestingly, I can't see any people around. So you can't do that sort of, what's this person thinking? Where has this person been? And so on and so forth. And then to finish off with, we could go to say one other place. Now we're going to California. So we've been to Canada, California, and Taiwan. So now we're going to Peter Pan's Flight. Interesting stuff in Disneyland. Okay. So there we are. Interesting. Temporarily closed. Okay. So you could talk about the fact that during the pandemic, Peter Pan's Flight is closed, and talk about why that is and all the language you can get from that. Now let's see if we can go to Street View here, because you can't always go into Street View, but it looks like, it's going to work. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to be inside Disneyland. Okay. Obviously before the pandemic started, I would imagine. And again, you can say, okay, where are these people going? Where have they been? What are they going to do? What's this child doing? Okay. And so on and so forth. So that's the idea. That's how you can use Flipgrid, and everybody, they all have access to a computer, of course. They can be recording their screen. They then upload the results to Flipgrid, and it's all in a safe and moderated environment. So I can now click stop recording. On the left-hand side, my little thumbnail there. Now, what Michael was just saying, I could click on the search option and I could put in a particular place. I can pause this, and on the left-hand side, my little thumbnail there. Can you see here? I can move this the starting point to a certain place where I want it to start, like this. Similar idea, just means randomly. So let's move that forward a bit more. Let's see where we go. So a bit more. I'm feeling lucky right now. There we are. So I'm starting at that point, and then I can click confirm. I'm feeling lucky right now. Okay, so starting at the point I want it to start rather than right at the beginning, I click next. Here again, as a student, I can change my name to whatever I want. I can also upload a photo or take a selfie or what have you. I'm just going to click submit. Because I've changed the recording length from 1.5 minutes to 10 minutes, it means I can record up to 10 minutes, which I think is plenty of time to do whatever you need to do. And once it's uploaded, you'll see how the moderation works as well. So Flipgrid is another really nice way of recording your screen, particularly if you wanted all your students to record their screens and everything is saved within one topic, which is why I've demonstrated this live. So let's just finish seeing that upload, and then we'll go on to the next idea. So it's just uploading now. I would be delighted to do, say, 45 minutes on Flipgrid, but as we're just referring to screen recording here, that's why I'm just doing this little introduction. But you'll see how that works. So there we are. Now here, as a student, what you would see is you can get the direct link. You can download the QR code to access that link, and also you can go to what's called my.flipgrid.com and see all the recordings that you've made as a student. So I'm going to click done. And here it is. It says it's been submitted, but it says that the video is being approved by the educator. So as I'm also the educator here, I can click here and I can go to Educator Dashboard like this. I can then go to my group, my new group, which is here, and click on my group, and I can click on my topic, which is here. And as you can see, it says hidden or active. So the fact that moderation is turned on by default means that I can change that from active to hidden, but moderation is still there. But what I can do now is I can click on my name. And as you can see, it says preparing the video. So because it was 4 minutes of recording, it does take a little bit of time for it to appear. Let me just try refreshing the video, see if that will get it to work. If not, yeah, so it's still refreshing the video. But just to show you here, I can leave a public comment. What that means is that anybody who's in that topic, which can be obviously a private group, they will be able to see that. So it doesn't mean anybody in the world can see it. Just the people who have access to that particular topic will be able to see this comment. The feedback is really nice. So I can record some feedback, as I'm going to do right now. This is private feedback just for an individual student. So you can see here that this is grayed out. So if I record my feedback here we go. Okay, so this is me as a teacher recording feedback for a student. So Joe, loved your screen recording. Great job. Love the way that you went from Canada to Taiwan to United States of America. great use of language, lovely pronunciation, but I noticed you need to work on A, B, and definitely C. Keep up the good work. Right, so then I click next. Okay, so this is me as a teacher recording feedback for a student. So Joe, next again, confirm. That now is going to upload, and you'll see now that as a result of adding my feedback, that at the bottom here, can you see this is now in blue? So it means if I can either click copy feedback link and share that with a student via whichever LMS you're using, learning management system, or I can email them the link as well. I can also add in text feedback. So I could say, great job, Joe. And that will also be included as a digest within the feedback that I sent. So that's how that works. Let's just see if the video is ready yet. Yeah, so in relation to privacy, as I've mentioned, there are two different ways of setting up your Flipgrid. You can either have a public group or a private group. In an education environment, I would always recommend having a private group. Just in relation to that, actually, I will just quickly find reference to, just give me a second. I got it here. There's an official document which I've got from Flipgrid. Let me just find it for you about the privacy concerns and their what they're doing about it. So just, or the advice that they give, should I say. Just give me a second and I will find it for you. So I would always recommend making sure that you make your groups private and you either add people via email addresses or via usernames. And I'll give you the link again on how to set this up. What I'll do is I will just, I think I've got a couple of slides about Flipgrid anyway, but I will just give you some more information here around Flipgrid, which I've just copied there now. So I will now copy that into the presentation, which is here. So I will quickly, where should we put it? We'll put it here. That works, paste. Is that going to work? Yeah. So just in relation to the privacy issue, right, okay, so here on the screen, what I've done is I've put in the official consent form. This is obviously directed towards secondary school or primary school age students. Flipgrid is used in both those areas and certainly could be used at university level as well. So that's the official consent form. If you're going to, it goes without saying, if you're going to publish anything which includes the children's faces or their voices or their names online, then you need to get parental permission to do that. And then the article I was referring to just a moment ago, which is privacy and security commitments to schools. So you've got the link there, which I can put in the chat right now for you to have a look at. That goes through the sorts of privacy concerns you need to be aware of. But I do, I wouldn't show this to you if I didn't think it was a safe thing to use. So there we are. That's how that works. And let's see if this is now ready. Is it going to work? Yay. It's going to work now. I'm feeling lucky right now. There we are. And we're going to go to... So we've done it, which is really nice. Now, there's also the closed captions option as well, which, as you can see here, it says the closed caption of this video may still be processing. Please check back later. So after a while, it normally only takes a few minutes, then you'll have closed captions for the video, which means that you can have those appearing on the screen as well. So to answer your question, Michael, that's how you can use Flipgrid. And there's lots of other things I can show you about Flipgrid, but there we go. Now, you also asked about privacy in general with these sorts of platforms. So if I go back to, before I do that, I was going to, well, let me just quickly demonstrate the other tools. So I showed you Loom. Let's have a look at Screencastify. So if I go to Screencastify, which is this one here, and I click on there now, you'll see here, if I click on show more options, that the drawing tools comes as part of the free package, which is really good. So that means now if I click on record, you'll see how it works. Okay, so I'm recording right now. I'm going to click on the pen tool. Let's imagine this is someone's work. I can now annotate over the top of the work. I can underline things. I can circle things, whatever it might be. And then again, as before, I can click on the Screencastify icon and it will stop recording like this. Okay, so it stops recording, a new page appears. I unmute the audio so you can then hear it. Here we go. So let's imagine this. Here we go. Okay, so I'm recording right now. I'm going to click on the pen tool. Let's imagine this is someone's work. I can now annotate over the top of the work. I can underline things. I can circle things, whatever it might be. And then again, as before, I can click on the Screencastify icon and it will stop recording like this. Okay, now as before, with Loom, we've got the copy shareable link option. So I can click on that. You can customize Screencastify so that it automatically saves to Google Drive, which is one reason if you're in a Google environment that people really like that, for obvious reasons. It makes it nice and streamlined, and then you can just access the video in your Google Drive. So that's how that works. And if I go back to my presentation, if I just quickly show you Screenity, which is this one. So this is the blue circle one. This is like Loom and Screencastify, but completely unlimited, and it comes with the pen tool as well. So you can see if I just click start recording like this, okay, and there's my little webcam here. You can't move the webcam around as you can with Loom, but I can click on the annotation tools and I can click on the color like this, and I can choose the color that I want. So say that sort of bluey color. And then I can also, if I click here, I can choose the thickness. And then again, I can start to, wow, okay, I can start to annotate over the top of the screen. I can make that thinner if I want to. So let's have a much thinner tool like this. There we are. You can see how that works. And then all I need to do to stop is click on the icon again, which is now red, and stop recording. Now, there we are. Now, the slight difference between this one is I can either save it to Drive, which means I would get my shareable link, or I can download it. It's not uploading it straight away to a particular place. Although I can, as I said, save it to Drive. It doesn't do it automatically. I can also choose the export option, which could be GIF or MP4. I can trim the video, remove part of the video, and so on and so forth. So if I just click download like that and click save, it will then download my video, and I can then click on it and it will then play like this. Webcam here, you can't move the webcam around as you can with Loom, but I can click on the annotation. Okay, and as I said, this is unlimited. So if you wanted to record your screen, then that would be another way of doing that. So those are the different options. Hopefully I have made that nice and clear on how that would work, the different ways of recording your screen. And let's go back to here. Are there any other questions directly about screen recording before I move on to security features with Zoom and Microsoft Teams and Google Meet? Any other questions around? Okay, that's great. Oh, so hopefully, Daniela, that's been useful. So let's carry on. So in relation to, right, so another question as part of the initial question, which is here, what are ways to improve the sound quality during the recording? Now, if you're using Zoom, then the audio quality that you're getting is 22050, which is basically half CD quality, which is fine. That's like the bit rate essentially. Thank you, Mohammed. That's like the bit rate. So CD quality is what's called 44100, which is a CD quality. So what you get with Zoom is half that quality, which is okay, but not amazing. If you're recording with, let's say, Screenity, then you're just using your default microphone and the quality will be better. So what I would suggest, which is what I'm suggesting right now, is to make sure that you purchase a good quality microphone. And there are a couple of examples on the screen right now, which one of which I use myself personally. And I find that the quality of these ones is very good, depending on a range of budgets. Obviously, there are many microphones I could suggest, but the ones which I know are certainly very popular with podcasters are the ATR 2100 and the Samson Q2U, which is essentially the same microphone, but just for the UK market. I'm sure you can get either of them on Amazon or elsewhere, but they're both around £90, I think. So that would be the equivalent in your country. The Mic Me one, which is one I have personally, which is a lot more expensive, is between sort of £300 to £400. It's a portable condenser microphone, and I use that for my podcast. But my co-host uses the ATR 2100, and between you and me, he sounds just as good as mine does, even though my microphone is about 4 times the price. But anyway, so investing in a good quality microphone is the way in which you're going to get better quality audio. But in addition to that, underneath, and I can show you on the screen as well when I turn on my webcam back on, which I'll do right now. There we are. So if I put this here, you can see that here. Can you see that? This is what's called a DIY sound booth. And what I do is I put that on my desk on the top of another IKEA box. And then I put the microphone, as you can see, the screenshot or the image on the left-hand side is my own DIY sound booth. And I put my microphone inside that. And that then reduces the background sounds of my room.
Joe, sorry, we can't. Can we see you? I'm not sure.
Yeah. You should be able to.
My
on my webcam. Can you see on my webcam?
Oh, there we go. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So that's what it is. So it's like professional audio foam. Let me just. There we are. It's professional audio foam, and what you do is you just cut it up with a bread knife, and you line the sides and the back, and then when you put the microphone in, it just removes a lot of the background noise, and that's what I did. So that image bottom left is what I did, and I watched the YouTube clip of this Chinese gentleman who's based in the UK saying how he reduced the room noise, the noise floor as it's referred to officially, and it made it sound a lot better. So I can see that, yeah, Michael, you've got the Yeti Blue. So that's the same. That's the snow. Anyway, you've got the Yeti Blue, you've got the Snowball microphone, you've got the Meteor microphone, all of which are Samson. So there's a number of different. Start again. Blue is the name of the microphone that makes the Yeti Blue, and then you've also got the Samson Meteor, and you've got the Samson Snowball, and you've got various other ones that Samson have done. But the Samson Q2U or the ATR 2100 are certainly good budget options to get good quality audio. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, so have a look at the video, definitely. I found this video brilliant for understanding how to get good quality audio. Another option that you can do, which is more of a pain, is you can record your audio separately on, say, Audacity or what have you running in the background while recording your video. Then if you had a tool like Camtasia or some sort of movie making software, you could then delete the original audio that you recorded when recording, say, in Zoom, and then replace it with the better quality audio you recorded locally at the same time, which is more of a pain to do. But if you wanted to improve the audio quality, that's what you would do. Or if you were to use something like Screenity, which is unlimited, and you had a nice microphone attached to it, then it should sound really good. You can't see this here, but I've got another microphone here that I'm talking to you on right now, which is also a Samson one, which is the Samson CO3U microphone. I'm not even sure you can get that nowadays, but it's again, it's about £100, I think. But I've been using that for 12 years now, 13 years, and it's been brilliant. So Yeah, that's what I would what I would recommend. And I think that if you invest in a good quality microphone, your students will really appreciate it. But with Zoom, in order to make everything work nicely, they do reduce the quality of the audio to make sure that you're consistent with the bandwidth. It doesn't require too much bandwidth. There we are. Right. So going back to Michael's question around security features. Now, back in March, April time last year, I thought it would be helpful to ask different people in the language teaching community that I'm part of, known as the MFL Twitterati, which I will put that in the chat for you, which if you haven't heard of, I would really encourage you to spend 10 minutes today searching on Twitter for the hashtag MFL Twitterati, because you will find lots of gems of information. And I contacted a few experts who are languages teachers who are part of the community to share ideas on the security features of the most popular video conferencing tools such as Zoom, Teams, and Google Meet. So I put together a Google form. I sent out the same Google form to the different people who I've referred to. So they all had the same questions, and then they all replied back to those questions. And I compiled all the answers into this table and the table on the next slide. Now, it has to be said that this was back in March, and there have been some things which have been added since then. So this is not absolutely up to date now, but it will give you a good indication of how to keep your sessions as secure and as safe as possible. So, for example, can attendees join a session before the teacher? In Microsoft Teams, it says yes if they have the link, but you send them the link via the calendar. There's now like a lobby, isn't there, with Microsoft Teams, and so on and so forth. So there are different new features that have been added. I'm losing my voice now, Mike, as well, that have been added that have changed some of these ideas, which I need to update. But obviously, this will give you a good impression of the things that you can do. So that's that slide. And if I go on to the next slide, you've got some other bits of information as well. And you can see here as well, for example, can the teacher disable the screen sharing for attendees or set up screen sharing as the host only? At the moment in Google Meet, that's not possible. Okay. And again, with Google Meet, as I've referred to already, there are some things you can do in the educational version of Google Meet. And they've literally, in the last couple of days, they've had a big Google, a number of different Google sessions whereby they've announced new features, such as finally the mute all button in Google Meet, but it's not been made clear whether that's going to be all Google Meet versions or just the educational ones. So yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens on that front, but that should be a good starting point for security. Also, in relation to safeguarding, so this particular article is around Zoom, but a lot of the ideas you could refer to for other platforms. So you can see there's a link here. Again, I'll just share this in the chat with you. So Teacher Toolkit is the name of a former assistant head teacher whose real name is Ross Morrison McGill. And he put together this because he was being asked by senior management teams around the world for advice on using Zoom for safeguarding reasons, which I've sort of alluded to already in relation to some schools not allowing live lessons. So this is a really nice article which he's put together, including official advice from Zoom on how to teach pupils synchronously. Interestingly, now that the educational minister, Gavin Williamson, has now officially said that the best way of teaching is through live lessons. So some schools are now changing their views on whether they're allowing synchronous in addition to asynchronous lessons. But this is a good rule of thumb, I think. And then I've got another couple of slides with similar advice. So this is from the UK Safer Internet Centre around safeguarding and privacy suggestions here. And then likewise on the next one, we've got guidelines from supplementary schools for whom I've done a couple of webinars as well last year. But again, that's just good practice on how to keep people as safe as possible using these tools. So there we are. Hopefully that's answered the first question with 15 minutes to go. But hopefully, are there any other questions about anything to do with video conferencing or recording your screen or flip lessons or audio quality or anything else? If not, I'll carry on to the next question. Okay, that's fine. So this is some flipgrid, which I'll just go through quickly with you, just to give you a quick little overview of flipgrid. Maybe later on in the week, if there's the possibility of doing this, I'm more than happy to sort of demonstrate, 40 minutes on flipgrid. But essentially, flipgrid, if you've not seen it before, is a tool which allows you to set up different groups and different topics in the way that I've sort of talked about already. In your topic, you can record a video as a teacher. You can then encourage the students to then record their answers to that video. The videos can be moderated in the way that I've shown. In fact, on that point, actually, if I just show you, if I come out of this for a second, go back to flipgrid, I didn't show you how you can then turn off moderation. But if I go back here and I go back to flipgrid and go TESOL, I go back to the actions here and edit topic. I can now turn off moderation like that, and now click update topic. Okay, and I can now, you can also see I've got a tick there to show I've given feedback. I can now make that active. And that means now if I click here and I want to record my screen, then that will now work. Can you see now it says, it doesn't say moderated anymore. So if I wanted to record my screen, another little thing I can show you quickly, if I turn off my video quickly, is here. If I click retry camera and I click here and I click board like that, and I choose, say, the whiteboard, I can now, can you see, I can now split my screen. So I could, for example, do this, and I can click here and I can choose ink, and I can choose the color like that and the thickness, and then I can then click record like this. Okay, so now all I have to do is I can then start to draw on the screen like this. I can write hello. I can then change the color to something else and do this. Now press pause automatically, and I can now, can you see here, it says clear. So I click clear, and then I move the color back to what I wanted it to be, and I click record again. So it will carry on recording from where I left off like this. Now I can write the word goodbye, but of course I could be explaining a grammar point or making a flip video, and then I can do another squiggle at the end. Right, then I click next. Okay, so now all I have to do is I can then start to draw on the screen like this. I can write hello. I can then change the color to something else and do this. Now I can write the word goodbye, but of course I could be explaining a grammar point or making a flip video, and then I can do another squiggle at the end. You can hear the bird calling in the background. I've obviously got a bird just outside my window that's squawking away, so apologies for that, but there we are, keeping it real. Then I click next and submit, and that will now upload onto my flipgrid channel as well, and that's how that works. Okay, there we are. If I now refresh the screen, it should then appear, and there it is. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to my presentation. Okay, so here, this is a lady called Jane Bassnett, who is the head of languages at Downhouse School, which is a school in the south of England. And she is combining her video with an image, which you can do as well really easily. Again, I can show you that another time. And you can annotate over the top. So she there has made what's called a flipgrid short, which is a standalone video as opposed to one that's in a topic or a group. So she's then done her grammar explanation, and then she can then share that link with the students. They can then use that as a way of familiarizing themselves with a grammar point that would then free up lesson time for the following lesson in a flip learning approach. Likewise, on the right-hand side, you've got a screenshot of a PowerPoint slide again on the perfect tense using être in French. So she's combining the image with the annotations and her voiceover as well. Then bottom left, you've got a video from a teacher from the States whose name is Sam Carey. And he has an amazing YouTube channel called the New EdTech Classroom. And I'd really encourage you to watch that because it's wonderful. And he's done lots of videos recently around different tools such as Flipgrid and Nearpod and Padlet and so on and so forth. On the right-hand side there, you've got Jess from Flipgrid talking about some of the features such as the whiteboard, which I've just demonstrated, the inking, which I've just demonstrated, screen recording, which I've demonstrated, stop motion animation as well. And there we are. If I go on to the next slide, you've got Sam Carey again on the right-hand side there, who's made a video called Assigning Work with Topics and Groups, which is really great. You've got Mike Tolson, who works for Microsoft in the education department, who is prolific with creating videos and TikToks and tweets around Microsoft tools. So this one is the way in which you can now add Flipgrid text comments, which I've demonstrated as well. Again, you've got both the YouTube clips there, bottom left. Flipgrid and Google Earth, again, I've just demonstrated that with the screen recording. This is a screenshot from the top left from a school in the Middle East, Jumeirah College. As you can see, some really lovely videos from Year 9 this morning on Flipgrid, even got a subjunctive, such community of confidence. So I think tools like Flipgrid are really great for boosting the confidence of their students. I love this. We may not be face-to-face, but Zoom, Flipgrid, and Hangouts are our next best things. So that's just fabulous. This is just some advice if you're using Flipgrid within Microsoft Teams or Google Classroom. So a couple of articles around that. This is what I've shown you already, the consent form and the privacy commitments. And this is another new feature, which is the mic only option. I made this GIF using iOS screen recording, and then I exported it as a GIF using an iOS and Android app called Image Play, which is here, which is a really, really nice app for turning any MP4 files into GIFs. So as you can see there, for the shyer students, you can quickly remove your face completely from the video. You just get that pulsating microphone. You can also, in Flipgrid itself, you can also enable different filters, including one called Pixel, which pixelates the screen. You've also got the option of using an emoji, which you can hide your face using the emoji option, and you can drag an image over your face as well, either completely fill the screen or just to hide your face. That's another way of doing that. And you can actually combine different effects together. So you could have, for example, the filter with an image with some text as well. So there's lots of ways you can use Flipgrid creatively, and it's all in a sort of safe and moderated environment, which is just fantastic. There we are. Right. So with 8 minutes to go, we could obviously get onto the question of how can I use technology effectively to teach online? But I wondered, before we do that, shall I maybe stop sharing my screen and just see if anyone wants to ask me anything at all? Let me turn my video back on before we move on to the next part with a few minutes to go. Any questions at all about anything, or anything that is not clear on what I've shown you? Or well, hopefully you found the session useful. Any other comments? Daniela seems happy. That's good.
I would just say leave it, and maybe what we'll do is we'll try to use this session to build some inertia. No, that's right. Some impetus